Toriko and his group on the balloon turtle shout loudly, "Let's go!" with the determination to win. Another, "Here we come." But they find that their flying speed seems unable to keep up with their momentum. My god, this isn't flying, this is clearly floating in the air. Balloon turtle, you're flying too slow. At this rate, when will we get to the sixth continent? After some time, they finally reach the central sea of Area 6. This place is often called the Black Triangle. Kurebu points at the Earth map. This place is called the Dark Sea that can swallow everything. There was once a meteorite as large as the moon that silently disappeared in this dark sea. No one knows what happened. Even in the gourmet world, this is one of the 10 most dangerous areas. Toriko hears these words as if he is bragging. A meteorite as large as the moon can still silently disappear? Coco says, although in the human world there are many seas like the Bermuda Triangle where ships and planes go missing, they cannot be compared to this mysterious sea. And swimming in this dark sea is another. It is said that after another swims by, there will be a splendid river of stars flowing through the dark world. Kurebu tells Toriko that the river of stars is sometimes very common, but most of them are the young of another. Adult another appears once every 100 years in the central area of the Black Triangle. That is also its habitat, so that is the real place to catch another. But the specific location of another in the sea is unknown, so there is a saying luck is more important than force. In other words, I must first find a way to conquer this sea. Several people are discussing animatedly. Imaro interrupts them again, "Can I have a drop of pear?" "Just one drop is enough." "What do you need pear for at this time?" Imaro takes pear and points at the globe. This is a real globe developed by IGO. Based on images obtained from satellites, it reproduces the terrain in detail. Not only the terrain, but even a gravity device is equipped. Livebearer says, "I remember this thing has a display ratio of about 1/150 million. The gourmet world has many places where satellites cannot capture images. But it's okay, it's not a loss to use pear for testing." Imara drops pear into the center of the Black Triangle area, then sticks gourmet slime mold on top. The slime mold quickly spreads on the surface of the globe, and then quickly points out a path. Coco has heard of similar phenomena. Amoeba-like protozoa, even in a complex maze, as long as you use bait, the slime mold will point out the most effective and suitable path. Imaro adds, "Gourmet slime mold is a creature that reacts to gourmet ingredients. And the more delicious it is, the more suitable the path it points out. Not only that, the path it displays on the map has a very high compatibility even in the real world. That is to say, the path pointed out by the slime mold is the best path to another." Sunny is amazed by this strange ability. He blindly asks Imaro, "Can this thing point out the path of other ingredients?" Imaro says nothing is impossible, as long as you know the location. Livebearer praises, "Being able to control bacteria, what an unbelievable ability. I feel it can also be widely used in cooking dry dishes." Imaro says in detail, there are also types of bacteria that can affect the brains of creatures. There is a type of fungus that can parasitize the heads of ants, thereby controlling their minds. In fact, there is a dark technique that uses them for cooking. A dark technique that uses bacteria? Everyone is horrified. How can there be such a heretical dark technique? And before the gourmet festival, Cuisine had brought that person. Imaro only then realized this truth. Toriko blindly asks which person. Imaro doesn't answer. Grandma Chio understands. That dark technique, could it be him? Recalling the plot, Teppei was with Cuisine after waking up. So the person Imaro is talking about is Teppei. This also shows that Teppei had already discovered the treacherous nature of his comrades. And the mastermind behind it is obviously Joie. While Toriko and Granny Chio were gossiping about Teppei, a sudden tornado whipped up, making the whole ship shake like a leaf. This was a horizontal tornado, with a chaotic trajectory. Livebearer spotted that this was the mother tornado, a trace left by the 8 Kings mother snake from ancient times. Just passing by could create something so terrifying? There's a rumor that this tornado was born from a clash between the mother snake and the 8 Kings of Area 6. In short, the culprit is definitely related to the 8 Kings. And this tornado path has been raging since ancient times. After all, this is a no-fly zone in the gourmet world. Stop complaining. What do we do now? The horizontal tornado rushed towards them. Fierce as if to swallow everything. Getting caught in it would mean game over. So, they had to land in the sea. But life is not a dream, their plan to go by sea also went down the drain. The sea was now filled with countless giant whirlpools. At first glance, you couldn't tell if the island was spinning or the sea was partying. One thing was certain, landing anywhere was unsafe. This was the specialty of the 6th continent, the spinning island, an archipelago that dances non-stop due to the swift currents, nicknamed the Crazy Merry-Go-Round. Although it still looked insanely dangerous, at least it was safer than falling into the sea. However, they discovered something unbelievable. The continent was moving at breakneck speed, both spinning and flying. What the hell? Successfully landing on a spinning and moving island, is this for real? Everyone was on pins and needles. If they couldn't do it, the movie would end here. Moreover, if the gray sphere fell into the sea before switching to dive mode, the situation would be worse. For a non-swimmer like Komatsu, the chances of survival were almost zero. While everyone was scratching their heads, the island suddenly froze. Everyone was both amazed and overjoyed. Hurry up! Seize the opportunity to get on the island. But joy was short-lived. A monster suddenly appeared, making them lose all hope. What is this? Capture level 1600. But don't underestimate this sea wave monster. It lunged as if to swallow everything. While everyone was helpless, the monster's body suddenly lit up, roared, and its whole body burst into flames. A short circuit? But what was more amazing was that the sea waves also caught fire. Lightning and fire? Could it be Brunch in action? Brunch and Starjun conferred. The host's weak point seemed to be its head. Ah, easy peasy. Seawater is indeed a good conductor. Seeing Brunch, the four heavenly kings weren't too surprised. But seeing Starjun beside him, the four heavenly kings were stunned. Starjun, why are you here? Starjun was as cold as ever. Later, they're coming again. Dozens of other hosts were chasing them. The group was in a panic when they heard a deep voice. Hey! Over here! They turned around. On the violent sea with tornadoes and monsters, there was an oasis of peace. A leisurely Nitro was fishing. Beside him was a capture level 1800 sunfish, carelessly blowing bubbles. Attention! There's a well behind, and a black head is sticking out of it. Guess who? Everyone curiously looked over. Brunch was confused. Who are you? What are you yelling about? But Komatsu guessed that this must be the golden chef. Gigi enthusiastically waved. I'm here to pick you up. Hurry up and get on the island. Well, whether it was really Gigi or not, just get on the island first. Only after landing on the island did they realize it wasn't an ordinary island. There was a well on the island, and inside was a whole other world. In fact, the island floating on the sea was just part of a giant shell. This was the capture level 1000 camping monster. It could create a special magnetic field, turning its surroundings into a safe zone. Therefore, Gigi could stay inside all year round in complete safety. Gigi sipped some tea and introduced to everyone, this is my villa. No matter how the sea roars, it's safe here. Just relax and rest. Everyone was confused, not grasping the situation. How could they relax? Komatsu bravely asked, are you the golden chef? Gigi-san? Starjun put down his hot soup. The soup contained jigsaw plankton. These were plankton with a diameter of 0.1 millimeters, shaped like jigsaw pieces, creating a myriad of flavors. A single jigsaw puzzle contained hundreds of trillions of pieces. To create such a superb soup required super-level cooking skills. There was no doubt, this was the golden chef. As soon as Starjun finished speaking, Toriko stood before him. Did you also come under Midori's orders? I can't think of any other reason. Starjun smiled faintly. Don't ask me. The boss's goal has always been the full course menu. I'm just following him. By the way, it seems you've obtained pear soup, right? According to the boss, the gender-bending effect of pear solved some mystery. This seems to be his personal matter. He said at the time, I understand. The enemy I need to aim my spear at. But Starjun didn't know what he had learned. He could only retell that much to Toriko. Yuta also stepped forward to ask about the safety of the other chefs captured by the Bishokukai. Brunch told them to rest assured, he had checked on each of them before coming. Moreover, he had made a deal with Midora. If he collected the entire Acacia's full course menu, he would release all the chefs. But whether he would keep his word was unknown. Komatsu grinned, don't worry. Midora will definitely keep his promise. Seeing Komatsu so full of life, Brunch was overjoyed. He had been worried sick before. Komatsu chatted with him for a bit, then turned to Gigi. Gigi-san, you organized that notebook, right? Then, the two discussed the notebook. Toriko finally realized, the notebook you're talking about is the one from the Gourmet Pyramid. Gigi added, that's the notebook where we recorded important recipes in code. Only exceptionally talented chefs can decipher it. Hundreds of years ago, this notebook was stolen. But I never expected it to end up in Komatsu's hands. Komatsu wanted to return the notebook to him. But Gigi refused, no need. Komatsu-kun has already surpassed me. The cooking methods left behind, the blue nitro are surely waiting for an even more delicious full course menu. In other words, Komatsu's cooking talent can create a more delicious full course menu. The recipes in the notebook are outdated. Coco asked him if he knew the location and cooking methods of the remaining full course menu items. After getting an affirmative answer, Toriko wiped their mouths. Please tell us. The table was filled with dishes cooked by the golden chef. But they didn't have time to savor them. They said so, but their plates were spotless. Those words were just polite talk. The gourmet solar eclipse was only a month away. They had to simultaneously collect all the remaining menu items. Knowing Toriko goal, Gigi pondered for a moment, then opened his eyes. Surprise! His stylish sunglasses were on his eyebrows, and his eyes were under his mustache-like eyebrows. Toriko were also shocked. Ah, so your eyes are there. I thought that was a mustache. Gigi ignored Toriko, glaring at each of them. The captured difficulty of the full-course menu items varied. Choosing people with suitable personalities to capture them would increase the success rate. Gigi asked for their names and sized them up from head to toe. Soon, he made his decision: all members, more than half, must stay in Area 6. Because conquering Area 6 requires a lot of people. The 8 kings of the Black Triangle Sea is the Whale King Moon, who can swallow everything. Its power shows the level of this area, which is why more than half the manpower is needed. The other areas will be handled by elites. They're called elites, but they're really mismatched pairs. First is the 5th continent, known as the #1 food treasure of the gourmet world, the Forest of Greed. To capture the meat dish from Acacia's full-course menu, news, the best candidates are Zebra and Brunch. After all, these two hot-tempered guys are not partnering up for the first time. Next is the 4th continent, the beautiful Garden of the Floating Islands. Sunny and Lightbearer will go there to capture the dessert from the full-course menu, Earth. Same old rule, whoever is ugly has to go with Sunny. The third area, a sky bridge on the Cloud continent, the best candidates are Coco and Tyran, 2 poison masters. Their target is to capture the drink from the full-course menu, Adam. Then, Toriko and Starjun will go to the 2nd continent, the continent of origin, to capture the main course from Acacia's full-course menu, God. The member assignments are roughly like this. If everyone succeeds, they can then go to the first area to get Acacia's appetizer, center, and the revival ingredient, another. Sunny, ever since he learned he had to go with Lightbearer, had been protesting. But Gigi ignored him, even cheering, "Let's go." Sunny raised his hand, "I have an objection." Brunch also chimed in, "Me too." Objections overruled. Look at Toriko and Starjun's team, aren't they harmonious? 2 archenemies have reluctantly reconciled. After finalizing the groups, Aymara used the gourmet mnemonic translocation according to Gigi's instructions to map out the route. This was the shortest path to the ingredients. The gourmet mnemonic translocation could guide them to ingredients that gourmet hunters would take hundreds of years to find. Although its accuracy was high, this route was based on the real Earth, so abnormal weather changes could spawn terrifying monsters, which was unpredictable. He reminded everyone to be careful. Before leaving, Rin told Toriko to be careful. Toriko wore the new clothes Rin gave him. "Thanks. If we return safely in a month and capture God, we'll have a wedding." Rin was moved to tears. Toriko added, "The venue? Of course, it's at Komatsu's Gourmet Hotel." This also moved Komatsu to tears. Moved is moved, but why is your face as red as a monkey's butt? Toriko called Komatsu over. "I'm counting on you for the other things. The next time we meet will be when we complete our full course menu." This time, everyone was ready, and the camping monsters for each group were assigned. Well then, let's set off. Brunch couldn't understand why he had to be teamed up with Zebra. Zebra, on the other hand, was unfazed, business as usual. Their warship was a level 200 pufferfish, its head armed to the teeth with guns, ready for a bloodbath at any moment. Zebra casually sipped a small glass of wine, his face gleaming with excitement. "Finally, it's time to party. I was about to grow mold from boredom. Our ship is pretty dope. With it, we're probably invincible, right, Brunch?" Brunch was still grumbling about not wanting to be teamed up. "Why do I have to go with you? I'm here to help Toriko hunt for stuff." Zebra scoffed, "What's it to me? I didn't decide. Come on. Let's just sip and cruise to our destination." But joy was short-lived, the entire ship shook violently. The pufferfish's cannons had opened fire with a bang. Brunch panicked, "What's going on? Are we already fighting? Who's bold enough to challenge this giant warship?" He looked out the window and saw only a supersized eye. "Oh my god. What is this? Are we going to kick the bucket here?" Sunny and Lightbearer's steed was a level 720 walrus. It looked quite dapper, but Sunny complained incessantly, "Don't you think our ship is ugly as sin?" "Oh wait, you're ugly too. Why is my partner in crime you, Lightbearer?" Since boarding the ship, Sunny had been ranting non-stop. Lightbearer was indifferent, "Just call me Lightbearer, it's fine." Sunny was devastated, feeling deeply hurt. Lightbearer consoled him, "The 5th continent is apparently the most beautiful place in the gourmet world, so that's why they chose us. I also want to test Sunny-chan's skills sometime." Sunny was furious, "Shut up." Compared to these two bickering couples, Coco and Tyran were much more harmonious. They were leisurely riding a level 590 anglerfish, chatting away. Tyran surmised, "If they chose us, the place we're going to is definitely not easy peasy. Coco, however, thought there might be a surprise. I heard Institute Zero is on the Cloud Continent, an impregnable place. Who knows, it might be a cool place. Let's go check it out. The final couple was Toriko and Starjun. The atmosphere was awkward. Starjun looked twice as tall as Toriko. After a long silence, Toriko finally broke the ice. Isn't Medora's order to capture another? Is it okay to be teamed up with me? Starjun was stone-faced. He told me to assist you. Anyway, the goal is to collect the entire full course menu, so there's no difference. But personally, I'm very interested in the spirit world. Toriko was curious, to find some ingredient? Starjun was indifferent. I don't remember either. Is the memory I have really mine, or is it from my gourmet cells? If it's the latter, there might be clues in the spirit world. Toriko lamented, it seems we're just vessels for our gourmet cells. I've never eaten God, but I decided to make it the main course of my full course menu. I decided that a long time ago. Why is that? Maybe it wasn't me who decided, but the craving inside my body. Starjun was silent for a moment, then asked, what happened in the last 2 years? You've progressed by leaps and bounds. You're a completely different person now. Toriko recalled the bloody battle, feeling nostalgic. So it's been 2 years already. The battle with you, that single defeat, is something that thousands, tens of thousands of victories cannot compensate for. Even now, that scar still stings in my heart. Now, the result would probably be different. As for Gigi and Komatsu, Gigi explained, there are 4 gates to the spirit world. The first 3 are the continents that form the Black Triangle, East Continent, South Continent, and West Continent. Although each continent has a blue stone gate, the environments are all harsh. Some are surrounded by tornadoes with a radius of over 10 kilometers, others are scattered with monsters of capture level over 2000. It's not impossible to go, but it's not necessary to take such a risk. In the upcoming civilization of the 6th continent, there is the safest gate. But it is the largest and most prosperous civilization in the gourmet world, the underwater gourmet city, the Blue Restaurant. It is a supersized underwater city of master chefs. That place is no less than the human world during its golden age. Komatsu was excited, amazing. There's such a gourmet city deep under the sea. Let's go quickly. Gigi was surprised but still smiled, as long as it makes you happy. Soon, they arrived at the Black Sea, the Black Triangle. The place was pitch black, the seawater black as coffee or thick soy sauce. Yuta thought it was more like squid ink. Komatsu found it a bit weird to describe the sea using ingredients or spices. Gigi said it wasn't weird at all, because the Black Triangle also had a nickname, the Sea of Broth. This was the intersection of the oceans in the gourmet world. The source of the flow of flavor, and the origin of all flavors. This sea was 30,000 meters deep, ranking 3rd in the gourmet world. The flavor of the seawater was divided into regions like the parts of an animal, though different, there was a pattern. The deeper, the more delicious. Some parts could be drunk directly as soup, others used as sauce. A long time ago, many chefs could complete their entire full-course menu just by being in this sea. The more Komatsu listened, the more he craved, so there are so many delicious fish and shellfish here. Not only that, the coral, shells, and rocks here can also be used to make special cooking utensils. Gigi revealed, the 7 golden utensils I used to use, which can prepare anything, are currently in this civilization. And only those 7 utensils can prepare another. Yuda was curious, another is an ingredient from the spirit world, right? Gigi explained in detail, the spirit world lacks flavor, so the spirits crave flavor in life. But you can't bring the flavor of the real world into it. But nothing is absolute, there is one flavor that can be brought into the spirit world. And that is the fish treasure in the deepest part of the Black Triangle, another. In fact, the thing that continuously creates flavor for this sea is another. In other words, another is the only bridge connecting the 2 worlds. Gigi lectured very seriously, but the others didn't seem to be paying attention. Nono called Komatsu to look out the window, and he saw a vibrant field of flowers. The whole world was filled with beautiful flowers. It doesn't look like a dangerous place at all. Komatsu wondered, why did the Black Triangle light up? The dark seabed suddenly brightened. What's going on? Gigi slapped his forehead, could it be the sparkling Nebula River? He looked towards the light source. I knew it. It's the Nebula River. It's the trace of another passing by. Even if it's just a fry. And this trace has been here for a long time. If even a fry can leave such a beautiful light and lingering fragrance, imagine how heavenly a mature another would be. Granny Chio looked at the sparkling Milky Way, sighing, so beautiful. Is my little son watching this Milky Way somewhere? That's why I joined the rescue team this time, to enter the gourmet world, because I heard about the spirit world. Komatsu played dumb, is it about your deceased son? Granny Chio looked at the sparkling Milky Way, sighing again. I'm old but I still can't sit still. My son was frail, from birth to the age of 12, he was hooked up to tubes in the hospital. The day he was discharged, on the way to my restaurant, his condition suddenly worsened. My only regret is that I couldn't let him taste my cooking. My little son didn't even know the joy of eating what flavor was before he passed away. I wanted to let go of my son's matter, and I decided to be grateful for the past, to let go of my attachment. But I'm still unwilling. I want to cook a meal for my son and savor it together. If this small wish can come true, even just once, for that, I would do anything. Granny Chiyo's story was heartbreaking. Komatsu was deeply moved. Chin Chin was stone-faced. If you don't have enough determination, don't enter the gourmet world. At least everyone here has a strong, unshakable determination. The atmosphere was solemn, like a pep rally. Komatsu enthusiastically shouted, "Me too! Me too! No matter what happens, I won't be scared, I won't back down. I will definitely bring another back." Komatsu, who was full of confidence, turned around and saw a giant coral monster approaching. "There's a monster. Let's run." Match was speechless. "Didn't you just say you wouldn't back down no matter what?" "No choice, the situation has changed. Trash talk only works for so long." Gigi introduced, "That's the Coral King, a coral giant, lured here by the fragrance of another fry. On the 6th continent, besides the 8 kings Moonwhale King, there are 7 kings you shouldn't get close to, called the 7 beasts. Each has a capture level far exceeding 4,000. Simply put, the ecosystem of the 6th continent is maintained by the balance of power between the Whale King and the 7 beasts." Nono looked out the window. "Hey, is that coral giant chasing us?" Komatsu was worried. In a place with such terrifying monsters, is there really a civilization? A black shadow loomed closer, speaking gloomily. Komatsu was scared out of his wits by the sudden voice. "Whoa! What is that?" Little Black stared with dazed eyes, looking innocently at him. Gigi smiled. "See? Let me introduce you. He is the slime leader, the stone spirit. He insisted on coming with me to pick you up." Gigi was about to say more but was silenced by the slime. The slime shushed him. Gigi was confused. "What's wrong?" "They'll find out sooner or later." "What's wrong with saying it now?" Alright, I get it." Komatsu and Nono were confused. "Who is it, anyway?" Gigi changed the subject. "We're almost there. That's the roof of the civilization." Everyone looked in the direction he pointed, a giant shell that could blot out the sky. This was the largest shell in the world, the giant shell. Its area was actually 10 million square kilometers. And within it was the prosperous civilization of the 6th continent, Blue Grill, also known as the Blue Restaurant. This seashell is freaking huge. A quick scan around wasn't enough to take in its entirety. Before Komatsu and the group could even be amazed, the seashell slowly opened. Gigi shouted loudly, "Hurry up! Get in now!" The giant seashell flipped its lid, releasing countless tiny air bubbles. At first glance, it seemed to want to swallow them all. Behind them, the coral giant was still in hot pursuit. Once inside, the seashell quickly closed. The group wasn't eaten. Instead, they had found their destination. This was the underwater gourmet city, a Blue Grill restaurant. The dense towns and crowded streets did not hide the prosperity of this place. Stretching from the beach were rows of residential houses and shops. Even in the human world, it was unlikely to see such a sight. The group was overjoyed, eager to go ashore. However, the coral giant that had followed them had no intention of letting them go. It suddenly burst out of the water. Just as it was roaring fiercely, the roar abruptly stopped. The group watched in astonishment as its entire body was cut into small, neat, square blocks. This was definitely not the work of an ordinary person. At that moment, a two-headed bird with a large basket around its neck flew by, scooped up a full basket of the fragments, and flew back as if on a mission. Everyone couldn't believe what was happening before their eyes. The huge and ferocious coral giant was taken care of in an instant. Yuda could feel that this slash came from a very distant place. To be able to cut so neatly from such a distance, without a doubt, the person who did it was a godly chef. Yuda added, "That person is terrifyingly strong." However, Chin Chin and Chiyo didn't seem to care. "Hee, since they helped us, it must be a welcome, right? This way of greeting is quite special. But speaking of which, if the coral giant wasn't dealt with, we probably would have been goners, right?" Komatsu was overjoyed. "There's such a skilled chef here, I must go see immediately." Chichi laughed loudly, "Ho ho ho. You seem happy, huh? Besides President Ichiryu, you're the first person to be this happy." "What? President Ichiryu has been here before?" "Yes, that was hundreds of years ago." Hearing the name Ichiryu, Slime angrily clenched his fist, muttering, "Ichiryu. Ichiryu." Komatsu noticed his strangeness and quickly asked, "What's wrong?" "Slime-san?" Slime turned his head and said, "You have to call me Don, it's Don, or Donslaw for short." Komatsu didn't quite understand, but he obediently agreed. Damala asked, "Are we the second guests after President Ichiryu?" Gigi replied, no. 2 years ago, this country's investigation team brought 3 people. Or rather, carried them here, because all 3 were about to kick the bucket then. Chin pushed up his glasses and hummed with a knowing look. Walking on the street, the group was even more amazed. This place was incredibly lively, like an early morning market. The streets were lined with shops, and people were bustling about. Gigi seemed to be a regular here. The shopkeepers all warmly greeted him. The ingredients in the shops were countless, making one's eyes dazzle. This place was even livelier and more prosperous than the demon world. A casual glance could reveal good things, for example, the original puffer whale, a treasure rarely seen in the human world. Nono called Komatsu to look quickly. There was a chef showing off on the other side. That chef's hands were as fast as lightning, he could manage 6 woks by himself. Moreover, each wok was cooking a different dish. One person doing many things was already impressive, but after finishing, he threw the dish straight into the sky. And the dish flew straight up the mountainside, landing precisely on a plate on a table. This was no longer in the realm of culinary arts, it was clearly martial arts and magic. Have you ever seen a 10-meter-long frying pan? Komatsu followed Nono's gaze. Oh my god. That pan is terrifyingly long. Kairi saw the secret at a glance. This 10-meter-long pan starts with low heat at the handle, medium heat in the middle, and high heat at the farthest end. There are ridges in the pan like terraced fields, which can conveniently move the utensils while cooking. Spices flow in from a groove on the handle. It's really a good thing. The pot-making expert and the second-generation knife master Melk also stopped by. The kitchen utensils here are very creative and practical. Gigi looked at the group walking back and forth inside. They are truly chefs and craftsmen. They are completely immersed in the unprecedented cooking methods and kitchen utensils. This made Match unhappy. He didn't know how to cook, nor did he know whether the kitchen utensils were good or bad, so he could only mutter, we really lose to them. We're starving and want to eat soon. Right. Gourmet night, he turned to look at Aimaru. It's a pity, the gourmet knight has never had any special need for food. So Match became even more annoyed. Komatsu and the crowd exclaimed in surprise, hey! This seems to be burning. He couldn't stand the sight, so he ran to help without the owner's permission. Match wanted to tell Komatsu not to meddle in other people's business, but at this moment, Komatsu was immersed in the joy of cooking. How could he hear what he was saying? Gigi opened his eyes and told Match, if they want to go to the back world, sooner or later they have to show their cooking skills. Right, leader Don? Don nodded frantically upon hearing this. Salama also showed off his superb knife skills. Yuda, not to be outdone, acted as his assistant. The shopkeeper thanked them and then was taught a lesson. You can't let a customer wait for even a second. They also took turns finding places to show off their skills. Chio had no intention of sitting still. She looked into the distance. This old lady also has to pay it back a little. At this moment, 2 people wearing masks were resting on a high mountain. Are they guests? Here to offer their lives? If they have no cooking skills, they will eventually just become new hosts for the spirits. At this moment, the coral giant quickly rushed out of the basket. It seems he has the ability to regenerate, directly regenerating from a state of being cut into pieces. But the moment he was about to rush at the 2, he turned into neat square blocks again. Both of them felt it, it was a long-range attack. Just like the move they had made earlier. Cutting into blocks from such a distance, it seems he's also a godly one. Chio swung her knife without any hesitation. It needs to be cut thinner. It probably can't regenerate now, right? She even conveniently pressure-pointed him. Chin asked Chio if she wanted to go over and see. Gigi was now at ease. It seems they don't need to prove their talent anymore. And the one wearing the grinning monkey mask said sinisterly, interesting. Gather all the members. Who are they? Don't be in a hurry, we'll talk about it slowly later. The news of Komatsu and the other chefs showing off their skills quickly spread throughout Blue Grill Restaurant. People were chattering, all wanting to see these experts from the human world. Damala and the others followed Gigi to the Northwest Restaurant. The number of seashells in front and the liveliness of the restaurant are an affirmation of its taste. To put it bluntly, the number of seashells is equivalent to the stars people often talk about. Here, the highest level is 10 seashells. The chef's rank is also calculated by seashells. Wabitora was eating greedily and was surprised. Why is there beef in the deep sea? Are there farms here? Gigi said again, farms are just a small thing. The land animals that have multiplied in nature have long since built an independent ecosystem in this deep sea area. This is the Blue Grill Restaurant. So this seashell is even more amazing. It's almost no different from the human world. There is day, there is night. Everyone has their own job, there are even administrative agencies and laws. 500 million people live and work in peace and prosperity. The second generation Milk was curious, why can such a prosperous civilization develop here? Gigi said, it's thanks to the gourmet spirits. Of course, everything has 2 sides. The sun is about to set. However, that's just the glowing part of the seashell dimming, this seashell is still alive. As soon as it gets dark, you will understand the secret of this civilization. While everyone was chatting, Komatsu was in the toilet unleashing the flood. And outside the toilet, an innocent little boy was anxiously waiting. The little boy's name was Cheiko, and he was about to not be able to hold it in anymore. He shouted loudly, "I can't hold it in anymore. Please come out quickly." Komatsu finished his business, feeling refreshed in body and mind, and walked out of the toilet. "Oh, that was great. I ate a little too much." Seeing the child in front of him, Komatsu boasted, "Hey, do you know where the waste in this civilization's toilets is discharged?" The child now only wanted to go to the toilet, how could he care about these things anymore? He impatiently shouted, "How would I know? It's probably discharged directly into the sea. Get out of the way, uncle." Hearing the word uncle, Komatsu felt as if he had been struck by lightning. What did you call me? Uncle? Am I really that old? But thinking about it, he was almost 29 years old, indeed at the age to be called uncle. But he had always been treated like a child and protected by everyone, so he couldn't bear the shock for a moment. The child hurriedly opened the toilet door, muttering, "I heard a chef from the human world has come. I have to go get his autograph quickly. But first, I have to go to the toilet." But as soon as he stepped in, the smell made him retreat. "It stinks. Oh my god. What did you do in there, uncle?" Komatsu immediately turned red. "It's not me. The smell is from that thing hanging around your neck. The smell is so strong. It looks like a sea urchin. What on earth is it?" Cheiko picked it up and asked in surprise, "Uncle, you don't know?" As soon as he finished speaking, he heard the sound of splashing water. Komatsu was also stunned. The child couldn't make it to the toilet and wet himself on the spot. This time, it really couldn't be explained. Cheiko and Komatsu got acquainted. Cheiko heard that he came from the human world and looked incredulous. "I heard a talented chef has arrived." "Uncle, no, Komatsu, you don't look like one at all." Komatsu was a little upset, insisting on being called by his name. "Didn't you say uncle? I remember Blue Grill Restaurant has many skilled chefs." Cheiko said, "There are many chefs here. And my dream is to become a chef who can single-handedly run a restaurant." After speaking, he showed Komatsu his collection of autographs from 5 seashells chefs. They are the only 5 chefs here who have 10 seashells restaurants, the heroes of this country. Komatsu naturally wanted to meet these people too. Cheiko held the autograph book and carefully observed Uncle's signature. He didn't finish his sentence before retracting it. "Forget about your signature, Uncle. After all, you're just Komatsu." Komatsu was hurt again. But that wasn't important. He was curious what the stinky thing hanging around Cheiko's neck was. "It looks like some kind of ingredient." Cheiko said, "This is a protective charm called Sea Urchin Charm." As he finished speaking, he looked up and saw a giant monster appear behind Komatsu. Once night falls, Blue Grill Restaurant has a situation, monsters will appear. That's why Cheiko kept complaining and wanted to go home early. Seeing the boy crying miserably, Komatsu was a little panicked. "Monsters? You mean spirits?" "That's right. This sea urchin charm has a special rotten smell that can ward off evil spirits." Komatsu looked around. It was starting to get dark. The pedestrians on the road had indeed thinned out a lot. But now was not the time to talk about these things. Cheiko pointed to the huge monster behind him. "Komatsu, you don't have a protective charm, you'll be possessed." Komatsu was so scared that his eyes rolled back. "What should I do now?" "Run." The two, without another word, turned and ran in sync. In a corner, a person wearing a mask peeked out. Shinshin, Chio, and Kuribo were still walking outside at this time. They called it strolling, but they were actually looking for something. Seeing a familiar figure, they immediately chased after him. "Director! It's good that you are safe and sound," Shinshin shouted. The other person turned his head, looking at them with a face full of doubt. Shinshin was surprised. "Who are you?" At this moment, a figure in the corner called Shin, "Come here quickly." The two looked over, it was Tak again. At the 7 Seashells restaurant, Yuda and the others looked at the gourmet spirits flying all over the sky and finally understood the secret they had been talking about. These gourmet spirits appeared at night, so it was particularly deserted here at night. Looking at the strangely shaped gourmet spirits, Rin couldn't help but tease, "This looks more like a monster, doesn't it?" At this moment, a person wearing a mask came over. His name was Mary, and he was a chef here. He sighed, "Even though the restaurant probably has protective charms, it seems the gourmet spirits are also very interested in you. Please rest assured, as long as everyone is alive and kicking, you won't be possessed by the gourmet spirits. But in the back world, it's a different story. If you don't have the guts to lose your soul, don't even think about coming to the back world." Then he immediately changed his tone. Even if you have the guts, if you don't have the cooking skills, you're not allowed to pass. If you get your body taken over, we're the ones who will be in trouble. Mary pointed out. Leader Slime has also agreed. So that's okay, right? Gigi propped up his chin and said casually, whatever. Hearing Gigi say that, Mary's aura became several times stronger. He challenged the whole group. I want to see your skills. Please compete in a cooking competition with the best chefs of this country. Your opponents are the 5 great masters of Blue Grill Restaurant. Mary announced that the competition would take place tomorrow at Grill Stadium. Speaking of competitions between chefs, one couldn't help but mention Komatsu. It's just that Komatsu was still running for his life with Chieko. After running for a while, Chieko let out a scream, making Komatsu quickly ask him what was wrong. Oops. I forgot to get my underwear. Oh my god. Such a small thing. Let's run first. Look, the monster is catching up again. But Chieko didn't listen to Komatsu's advice and even deliberately went back into the encirclement of the monsters to get his underwear. It could be seen that this underwear had a significant meaning to him. The two ran panting for a long time before stopping. Chieko kept explaining to Komatsu, it's not underwear. I did that to get back the autographs of the 5 great masters. This is my treasure. After looking at the autographs, Chieko pulled Komatsu and ran away again. Komatsu followed him into a small alley and then to a slum. The scene here was completely different from the outside. People in rags and tatters leaned dejectedly against the exposed walls. Komatsu was extremely surprised. How can there be such a place in such a bustling port city? Moreover, looking closely, their faces were all covered with masks. What on earth is this? Chieko told Komatsu to follow, then led him to a pile of pipes that looked like sewer pipes. This shabby pile of pipes was Cheiko's home. At the door, an uncle greeted Chieko, you're back. Chieko immediately happily introduced Komatsu's origin. Komatsu also shyly greeted him. The uncle noticed that Komatsu didn't have a sea urchin charm and told him not to wander around at night. There's a lot going on tonight. It's best to stay here for another night. His voice was gloomy, and his face was covered with a scary mask. At first, Komatsu didn't pay much attention, but when he was about to enter the door and turned his head to look at him, Komatsu felt a chill down his spine. Chieko advised him not to mind, that uncle was always there. Don't look at the shabby pipe house from the outside, it looked quite spacious inside. Chieko said this was a renovated abandoned drainpipe. His mother also lived with him, but she had gone to work. Speaking of his mother, Chieko had a few more points of pride. He said his mother was a chef, participating in a major national plan. He heard that her cooking was superb. He also wanted to quickly become a chef who could single-handedly run a restaurant and then participate in that plan. Komatsu smiled and said, it would be great if you could work with your mother. Oh, let me cook for you today. But before that, I have to let everyone know. Komatsu did as he said. The super chef started cooking. Chieko was so happy he almost fainted. Great. He wants to taste the skills of a chef from the human world. Komatsu immediately entered the cooking state. His godly vegetable cutting skills made Chieko freeze. How can there be such an amazing way to cut vegetables? It's just that the ordinary knife couldn't keep up with his technique. The tattered knife was quickly chipped. But it didn't matter. Komatsu's apron was a special sharpening stone apron from the 2nd generation milk. Just a few rubs and he had a sharp knife as good as new. This apron is really convenient. It probably has considerable defensive capabilities. Right? Komatsu explained while cooking. Soon, a table of food was ready. Seeing such a sumptuous dinner, Chieko couldn't help but want to dig in immediately. But Komatsu shouted, stop. You have to say a sincere thank you before you can eat. Say it after me once. Facing all the ingredients in the world, express your gratitude. Sincere thanks. It was the first time Chieko had heard that he had to do this. Komatsu blushed and explained, this is a famous saying from the world's #1 gourmet hunter. Although Chieko didn't quite understand, he still indulged Komatsu and said it once. Then the two happily feasted. But as soon as Chieko took a bite, he was unhappy and pouted, what is this? It's not very delicious. Komatsu was horrified, how could this be? This was the first time he had received such a low rating. But it didn't matter, Komatsu didn't mind much. After the meal, the two played for a while before turning off the lights and going to sleep. Chieko quickly fell asleep. Komatsu looked at the soundly sleeping Chieko and thought about many things. At Chin Chin's place, they were sitting around a fire eating barbecue. Seeing Tak, they were already very happy. It's good that you alone are safe and sound. It was clear that they had already talked. Now they sighed, soul trading or something, it's hard to believe. Is that true? Tak calmly explained, the Goro tribe are the survivors of ancient gourmet mages who summoned gourmet spirits. This is information obtained after talking with the gourmet spirits. It's definitely not wrong. Chio said, there are other souls parasitic in the bodies of the prison director and Lala. This Chin Chin can understand. It's just that I don't know why they all wear those strange masks. Tak said, the dark spirit world has no day. It's a world without the concept of time and space, a pitch-black world. Therefore, the revived spirits have to wear masks for a while, otherwise they won't be able to live because of the dazzling light. Kuribo didn't understand what the so-called plan was, even to the point of not hesitating to trade souls. What on earth did they want to do? Tak replied, it's to develop a completely new taste. Sooner or later we will have to participate in that plan for our purpose. It might be as early as tomorrow that we can participate. But we have to win the final match first. The next day, when the sun shone into the pipe house, Komatsu was still sleeping soundly. It's just that his side was empty. The uncle wearing the mask slowly approached the sleeping him, then quietly sat in front of his head. Dirty liquid flowed from his eyes, nose, and mouth. Accompanied by a gurgling sound, it slowly dripped into his mouth. Komatsu suddenly opened his eyes. Seeing no strange uncle beside him, he breathed a sigh of relief. Was it a dream? But Cheiko had really disappeared. He hurriedly ran out to find Cheiko and even asked the uncle sitting at the door if he had seen Cheiko. The uncle slowly said, he was taken away. It was forced collection. Cheiko is also like his mother, having to sell his soul? The uncle's words made Komatsu confused. What on earth is he talking about? Can souls be sold? What happened to Cheiko's mother? At the grill stadium of Blue Grill restaurant, this place was packed like ants. It was like a festival. Balloons flew all over the sky, and the endless cheers showed the liveliness and importance of this place. On the 10th basement floor of the grill stadium, in the lounge of the five great masters, Asaruti, who had a stunning appearance after taking off his mask, was choosing books from the bookshelf. He used the quantum reading method. Reading books in seconds, so he had to take about 2 books at a time. Just a glance and he knew the content of the book. A moment later, he had finished reading the 2 books, then stretched and lay on the chair in thought. At this moment, the head chef of the deep-sea seaweed restaurant, Condor, came over. He happily shouted, "Everyone! The top is packed to the brim. What a lively atmosphere of millions of tons. Even the 10 stars have gathered. Such a magnificent scene, is it seen once every few decades or every few hundred years?" Meimei said unhappily, "Condor. The door is too bright, and you are too noisy." Condor didn't care about his teasing. "Hey, Meimei, what do you think?" Meimei couldn't help but turn around and say seriously to him, "Good. If you open the door, you have to close it. This is the 23,652nd time I've reminded you. If you do it again next time, I'll throw you into the spice pot." Condor quickly said, "Oops, no, Meimei. I mean, what do you think of this?" Kakino advised Meimei not to waste his words. "You can see old age at 3, a habit of living for thousands of years, no matter what you say, he won't change." But I didn't expect him to remember how many times he had said it. No one is paying attention to me again. Condor then turned to Asaruti lying on the chair and said, "How amazing is the chef from the human world? The chef you saw, what on earth, why are you crying?" Asaruti shed 2 streams of hot tears, making Condor stunned. The head chef Picnic advised him to behave himself and not to provoke Asaruti. "She's reading a book. It's best to stay away from her. She's immersed in that book." Condor thought, what book could make Asaruti cry? The name of the book is Marilyn's Pot. It seems to be a good book. Picnic had an impression of this book. Isn't that the moving work of more than 500 pages by Melisman? Melisman is a writer in the human world. That book seems to be the book brought by a young man from the human world 216 years ago, right? Ha? A young man? This guy seems to be an old man?